Okay. Hello, everyone. I am Shadi Flores, the Social Media and Events Coordinator for the Chautauqua Visual Arts. I'm here today with Tony Santoyo, one of our featured artists in the CVA Craft Gallery, formerly Our Bridge Gallery. Tony is a painter, printmaker, and ceramicist from St. Paul, Minnesota, and is currently a core fellow at Penland School of Craft in North Carolina. Welcome, Tony.
Thank you, Shari.
So tell me a little bit more about your background, what inspires you, and how you came to pursue art.
Perfect. My background, so Mexican American, grew up as first immigrant child, and then I just started getting into the art world. Both my parents, I consider them craftsmen, even if they don't make professional work. Growing up, I was always surrounded by my dad making stuff around the house, or this idea of creating with his hands, or doing something with his hands. Same with my mom. She actually was the one that encouraged me to visually do what I do now. And without that, I don't think I'd be here. But that support was so fundamental to me. So I think that's kind of how I started getting into the craft world, making and creating. And eventually I found interest in the visuals of painting, and yeah, so that's what I do. Did I miss a third part to that?
Oh, and no, that's it. I think how you came to pursue art and what inspires you. How do you visually harness your influences into your works? I see that they're very abstract, but you can still see kind of traces of the prickly pear, of the nopal on the forms. How do you go from like a literal representation to something more abstract and like colorful the way you do?
Yeah, I think I'm very inspired by scenery, landscapes, decor specifically. Um, Abstraction allows me to be fluid and not too precise about what I'm doing, but I noticed that abstraction has some sort of hardcoreness to it, versus abstraction brings in the softness, which is what I love. A lot of my Mexican culture, I feel like, has influenced that, color and just that softness and hardness, but also joy and fun. So those things really inspire me. And the prickly pear recently, in the past like 2 years, because of symbolically what it means and what it stands for. And sometimes I see myself in those uh, cacti. And it's kind of fun to do that, as I'm painting or creating these ceramic sculptures, to put like some personality or essence into it, even though it might not mean anything to anybody else, but to me it does. And the form is inspiring, as well, beyond this symbolic meaning. But recently I've been really focused on the idea of movement and dancing and how that plays into things. I think it began to be more evolved or more present in my life when I started dancing all of last year. In moments, I noticed that because of given the year, it was just so stagnant to me and kind of heavy. And I found dancing and movement, as a way of kind of letting that out and expressing myself. And so I also did a 200-hour yoga teacher training, which I love. So yoga and dancing are the two big things. And I noticed that in the ceramic work that I do, there's this fluid kind of fluid movement that is going on. And again, I just started thinking, I'm like, what if that's like me standing in like a weird pose, or I don't know, putting myself in it, or maybe the feeling or the emotion that's being kind of placed into it as it's being made. And so then that leads me into like the visual and painting these kind of, how do I capture gesture and motion and this trace that you speak of, which when it comes to clay, I think it's so malleable and so forgiving that when I pinch a coil or a brushstroke, it allows me to leave that remembrance of that moment. And so I really love layering and the construction of things.
Yeah, and it's really evident in your work, like you said too. I think both aesthetically, like the way that you incorporate kind of the repetition of like the prickly pear like signs and all of that, and like the color and how that moves, and also in the way that you do apply them on your forms. And I have a little bit of a ceramics background as well, so I see how that is added on to the form, you know? Can you expand on the works that we have now in the gallery? I know you've kind of explained your process, but these specifically.
Yeah, absolutely. So what I have in the gallery are mugs, cups, and vases, all named after the prickly pear, which again I started during last year and really put time into thinking about what I want to do. Actually, they came out of a sculpture that I was making, which was more of a direct look at a prickly pear, the form and everything. And as I was putting these parts into it, I'm like, this could be a mug. And I don't know, they're so unique and different. They're not all exactly the same. And I think that speaks to just also who I am and capturing certain things. And um, I love that uniqueness of them and the fact that they're made to be functional and but I know that they might not be for everyone. Some people like the traditional mug with the handle and stuff. So I love that they're different. I think there's something cute about it as well. Um, and so yeah, the vases were also just an extension to that, the cups. And sometimes I think they have again like a personality to them. They're like a human being. Sometimes I'm like, oh, they're like a little baby. So I'm excited to have them. I love making functional work because I like to see them in people's homes and people's hands. Um, and it's a part of me. Sometimes I think of them as a part of a bigger painting or a scene that isn't fully shown, but just a part of it. And I think that's very beautiful. Um, but yeah, so those are the three different pieces in the gallery. Um, yeah.
Yeah, they're incredibly vibrant, and I see how they can work both as a collection if they come together and they like work off of each other too, and how they work by themselves individually, like you said, have their own personality and color and kind of impact in someone's space. So thank you. What are your upcoming plans? What is your plan for the rest of this year? I know you're in Finland right now.
Yeah, so will be my first year at Penland as a core fellow. Last year was the first one, but the school closed and we are actually finishing up our first session since COVID, which is really nice. It's been really refreshing to see people come in and to see work being made. It was very quiet and lonely here. The landscape um, and animals took over for a second, which was also good to see. But um, so for the next couple, I mean, Penland's gonna take over for a while. I got summer workshops that I'm gonna be taking. My next one is with Julie Snyder and encaustic painting, which is really fun. I'm excited to dive more into the visual of my work and maybe start making more sculptural stuff in the clay world. But finding that merge or keep letting them converse between each other and just keep dancing and grooving through things. I think that's I think we could all use some movement and some dancing, and I am happy to like and show that and inspire others to do that. And I don't know, sometimes it brings out something different that you didn't know, which I'm seeing now. I'm actually taking a class with Lynn Hobaika and Ricky Barnett, which are they're really good ceramicists. And I created this sculpture with heads. I never worked with heads, and it brought so much personality to it. And I'm in love with the piece. But yeah,
Amazing.
Finland.
Very cool. Very exciting to hear. So thank you so much for meeting with me today, Tony. For all of y'all watching, you can check out Tony's works at art.chq.org/exhibitions/craft-gallery. Thank you.
Thank you, Shari.